Shalom everyone, welcome back. We're continuing with Parsha points on the Haggadah part 2. And we left off last time with the understanding that in Egypt there were all kinds of idol worships. And the Jewish people were part of it. Meaning when Makas Bechoros comes, so the angels are going to say, Halalu of the Avodah Zarah, Halalu of the Avodah Zarah. Why should the firstborn Egyptians be hit and not the Jewish firstborns? The Jewish firstborns were also worshipped just like the Egyptian firstborns. So why is it that Hashem is Poseach, right? We know the name of the Yom Tov is Pesach. The word Pesach means compassion. And Hashem is Pasach al Batei Bnei Yisrael. Hashem had compassion. He protected the homes of the Jews as he was hitting all the deities, all the gods they believed in Egypt, destroying the wooden, the metal, the gold, the firstborn, the sheep. All the different idols that were worshipped in Egypt were going to be destroyed on this night. But the Jewish firstborns were also part of the idols of Egypt. So the angels in heaven say, why wouldn't you hit them too? They're also part of the idols of Egypt, the firstborn Jews. And Hashem says, you know what Hashem says? Hashem says, Banayim. That's my boys. They're my boys. There are 2 times that Hashem shows us that He loves us. That it doesn't matter if the angels agree or disagree. It doesn't matter if it adds up or not. Hashem says, Banayim. You know when? First is on the night of Pesach, when there was the plague of the firstborn. So the angels, they didn't see a logic, even a heavenly logic behind hitting the Egyptians and not the Jews. So Hashem said, okay, I'm doing it. It's ani velo acher. Only I am doing the plague of the firstborn. And when we were standing by the sea, when we were standing by Kriyas Yamsuf on the 7th day of Pesach, when the sea split, so again, the angels in heaven said, why would you split the sea for the Jews and then sink the Egyptians? The Jews have idols with them too. And Hashem said, Banayim, they're my children. As the Navi Malachi tells us, Ahavti etchem, Hashem says, I love you. V'amartem b'ma'avtanu, you'll say, why do you love us? How are we different than Esav? And then Hashem says, V'ohavet Yaakov, because I love you. The answer to why you love is because I love. And Hashem showed His love for the Jewish people on the night of Pesach. The night of Pesach is the night between the 14th and 15th of the month of Nisan. It is the night when the Jews and the Egyptians believed that the Egyptian god, they believed the sheep was their god. They believed the zodiac of the sheep was their god. So they all believed that this night with the full moon was the night when the Egyptian god was most powerful. This was the night that Pharaoh abducted Avram's wife, Sarah, took her to marry her. This was the night that the Egyptians believed that no one could stand in their way. And on this night, Hashem said to the Jewish people, you take that sheep on the 14th, you slaughter it, and then you roast it whole, so that you can't deny that you're going to eat that sheep. You can't deny that it's a sheep. Anyone that walks into the house sees the sheep roasting whole. And you're not hiding the smell. You know, you cook meat, you could smell it from a few feet away. You roast meat, you could smell it for a long way off. So all of the Jewish homes have this roasted meat. And on the outside of their houses, they have the blood of the sheep smeared around their doorposts. This was such a declaration. Until this day, the Jews had worshipped the sheep, and now they were saying, Hashem, we believe in you. We're going to be your people. And the Jewish people were really scared. Our sages say, it says in Rabbeinu Yonah in Brachos, that Am Yisrael was sitting trembling the night of Pesach. Here they didn't know what was going on outside. They couldn't get together. They couldn't ask one another what was going on. They heard yelling from all over Egypt, and they were sitting ducks. Here they were ready to leave Egypt. It was a crime punishable by death for a slave to leave Egypt. And all the Jewish people were standing there with their bags packed, making a declaration, we believe in Hashem, we're leaving Mitzrayim tomorrow. This declaration was a tremendous act of faith. And so the Torah says, you have a mitzvah to commemorate this night. When we come to the Seder, we're telling our children, hey, tonight we did it. Tonight's the night. Tonight's the night that we said, Rabbon Shalom, we believe in you. We trust that you're the one running the world. And we did it. We ate the Korban Pesach. We ate that very sheep, which a week earlier we were still worshiping. We sat there in the homes scared. But we sat there doing what Hashem wanted, preparing for the great exodus for leaving Egypt. And I want to end with a thought. I was fortunate enough to see Rabbi Ze'ev Wein. Rabbi Ze'ev Wein was a great rabbi in the beginning of the 20th century in Europe, when they thought that the Shas would be totally destroyed and they wouldn't have a Shas left in Europe. He was one of the people who was tasked with memorizing, I think it was Tractate Yevamos, a very complex Masechet. He knew the whole Masechet by heart, so that if there was no Gemaros left, he could write down the whole Masechet, Gemara, Rashi, Tosos. He knew it by heart. So Rabbi Ze'ev Wein saw the rabbis of the beginning of the 20th century. I hope Hashem will grant me the longevity to see the end of the 21st century. So between me and Rabbi Wein, we cover 200 years. If we go back to Yetzias Mitzrayim, it only takes 20 such connections to connect us back from now to the generation of Yetzias Mitzrayim. When we sit with our children at the Seder night, let's help them see how close we are, how powerful our tradition is, that we are sitting on this night with our children, the way our fathers sat with us, the way their fathers sat with them, all the way going back to that great night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, when the Jewish people sat as a family, knowing that the following morning they would leave Mitzrayim. Have a good Yom Tov.